Hi, Dr. Lou here, and I'm going to try to answer the question in games. Is there anything new under the sun? Innovation, quote unquote, usually isn't. So the question is, why do we pursue innovation? Because many novice designers certainly do. Is there anything inherently good about innovation? No. But it's one way to surprise game players. And that's what's important, surprise. Shigeru Miyamoto, the designer of the Zelda games and Wii Fit and many, many more, said, "We want to entertain people by surprising them. We are nothing but entertainers." Now, some people need new, people who worship the cult of the new, as I put it, but a lot of people don't. So I think few people care if something is brand new in games. In video games especially, almost all the highly anticipated games are sequels. And usually, if the game is supposedly innovative, it turns out to have been done in the past. It isn't really new, just new to you. Stratego is an example. You might think Stratego was innovative when it first came out. Now there are some spin-offs, but in fact, it wasn't at all. Stratego came out after World War II. It's a very minor variation of a game called L'Attaque, which was patented in France in 1909 and was published in Britain, along with 3 derivative games, Dover Patrol, Aviation, and Tri-Tactics. So Stratego is about as non-innovative as you could imagine, but it was new to the American audience, though not to the British audience. Britannia, my game, is less innovative than most think, but given the obscurity of Ancient Conquest I, from which I borrowed the notion of having players control several nations, Britannia surprised gamers. Now, there's much more to it than that, such that people have played such a long game more than 500 times. Surprise is not all there is to games, for sure. Now, what about Blockus? Blockus is the game where you have oddly shaped combinations of squares, remind you of Tetris, but it preceded Tetris, and you try to place them in open spaces on a board. I don't know whether Blockus is innovative. I don't know whether there was something before that. I do know that the designer designed Blockus and didn't design any other games, even though it's made him independently wealthy. But it's certainly a surprise to most game players. So fix in your mind surprise, not innovation. Tim Sweeney, who's the founder of Epic Games, said in a Gamasutra interview in 2009, "That's kind of the common pattern in everything I do. One minute I'm completely on my own and I think, wow, I'm a genius. I can't believe this idea nobody else had. And then you look at the references on it and it turns out that 100 other people have done the same thing in the 1980s. And then you look and you get your additional ideas from those. Between invention and stealing, you come up with a really good combination of ideas." Phil Ludington made a useful comparison. The idea is like your finger. We all have them. But the implementation is like your fingerprint. Everyone's is unique. And to throw one more quote in here, Allie Fox, who was played by Harrison Ford in The Mosquito Coast, says, "Strictly speaking, there's no such thing as invention, you know. It's only magnifying what already exists." So focus on implementation, not innovation. If you model situations, instead of throwing mechanics together, do you care whether it's innovative? No, you care that it's a good model and an enjoyable game. But so many modern tabletop games are abstracts rather than models. They're parallel competitions that are essentially puzzles that making a good model doesn't come into it. So you have to substitute something else like surprise. Do puzzles need innovation? That is, do they need ways of doing things new to the players more than games do? Perhaps they do. Because the human opposition in games is endlessly inventive. more than anything that one or a few designers could possibly produce for a puzzle, even if they use computer programming. Or to put it another way, surprise in a game often comes from actions of other players that affect you. In a puzzle and puzzle games, there aren't other players, or at least not ones who can significantly affect you. So, innovation is overrated. Surprise is desirable. Thanks for listening.